There are moments in life when the storm is too loud, the path is too dark, and the weight on your shoulders feels unbearable. I've been there, soaked to the bone, lost in the wild, no compass, no map, no help. Only one thing keeps you moving forward, and it's this: never give up. Let me take you on a journey today. This isn't about luxury or comfort. This is about survival. This is about grit. It's about that fire inside that refuses to die, even when the world tries to drown it. Never giving up isn't a quote for a wall. It's a decision, a brutal, raw, painful decision that says, I'm not done yet. This won't break me. You'll have to kill me before I quit. We've glamorized the success but buried the struggle. What you don't see in every victory is the blood, sweat, failure, and raw panic behind it. Quitting, that's easy. Giving up, that's the default for most. But survival, thriving, it comes from a deeper place. That primal place where instinct kicks in and says, I will crawl if I have to, but I will move. I remember hanging off a rock face 300 feet up, my leg shattered from a fall. The team said we needed to go back. But I knew this climb wasn't just about the summit. It was about proving something deeper. So I dragged myself inch by inch, bloodied hands screaming pain, and I made it, not because I had strength, but because I refused to quit. Your limits are lies. Pain is real, but so is progress. Lost in the desert, no water, 50-degree heat. Your mouth dries out, your body starts to shut down, and your mind begins to hallucinate. Every cell screams at you to lie down, to give in, but giving in means death, so you push. You find a cactus, a drop, a shadow, and you survive. Lesson: the mind breaks before the body does. Control the mind. You control your fate. Not my story, but one I carry with me. A woman abandoned 2 kids, no job. She sold bread on the streets, took night classes, slept 3 hours a night. Today, she runs her own business. She didn't have a rescue team, but she had fire. Lesson: you don't need a hero. You need hunger. Let's strip away the fluff. Here's how you actually never give up in real life. 1. Control one step at a time. Don't look at the mountain. Look at your boots. One step, then the next. Then the next 2. Turn fear into fuel. Fear is energy. Use it, channel it. When you're afraid, you're alive, so run toward that fire. 3. Embrace discomfort. Pain is not your enemy, it's your training partner. It's the burn that forges steel. 4. Create a why that's bigger than you. If you're only fighting for yourself, you'll fold. Fight for your family, your future, your purpose. 5. Burn the plan B. Sometimes you survive because there is no way back. Cut the lifeline, force yourself forward. 6. Visualize victory. See yourself at the finish line. Every single day, speak it until it becomes truth. You don't really know who you are until everything falls apart. Until your strength runs out, your plans collapse, and your comfort disappears. That's when the real version of you shows up. And that version, it either fights or folds. You want to know the truth. Life doesn't care about your perfect plans. It's going to hit you with storms you didn't see coming. People will leave, things will break, you'll fail, you'll cry when no one's watching, you'll question why you even started. And in that raw, brutal moment, when it feels like everything's stacked against you, that's where the choice is made: give up or get up. People love the highlight reel. They clap when you win, post about you when you succeed. But where were they when you were broke, scared, aching with self-doubt? Where were they when you had to drag yourself out of bed and face another day that looked just like the one that broke you? That's why you can't rely on applause. You've got to find that grit inside, that silent voice that says one more round, one more try, one more breath. That voice, it's not loud, but it's loyal. It shows up when nobody else does, and if you listen to it, if you trust it, it'll carry you through hell and back. You see, the people who really make it aren't the ones who had it easy. They're the ones who kept going long after the rest stopped. They crawled through rejection, heartbreak, failure, and fear. And they kept crawling, not because they didn't feel pain, but because they knew pain was part of the deal. They understood that strength isn't built in comfort, it's built in fire, and sometimes the fire is all you've got. I've looked into the eyes of people who are done, People who had nothing left, no food, no shelter, no safety net, but they had will. They had a flicker of fight left in them, and that flicker, that's enough. That flicker can become a flame if you feed it. You don't need perfect conditions. You just need refusal. Refusal to quit. Refusal to stay down. Refusal to be another story that ends halfway through. I've seen mountains that looked impossible. I've seen weather turn wild in seconds. I've hung from cliffs with nothing but fingertips keeping me alive. And you know what I've learned. The body gives up long after the mind does. So control your mind, own your thoughts, because if your head says, I can't, your body will follow. But if your head says just one more, your body will obey, and inch by inch, you move. Step by step, you get closer. It's easy to talk when things are smooth. It's easy to be motivated when the sun's out. But let's be honest, those aren't the moments that define us. You are made in the dark, in the cold, in the storm. That's where you learn what you're made of. That's where you grow teeth. So if you're in the thick of it right now, if everything's going wrong, don't run from it. Stand up, face it. Scream back at the chaos. You picked the wrong one to break. There's no map for this. No shortcut. No elevator to the top. You take the stairs, bleeding, limping, crawling if you have to, but you don't stop. Because the moment you stop, the moment you say this is too much, is the moment you surrender. And surrender is not an option, not if you've got something worth fighting for, and we all do. We all have something. Some reason to keep going. Find yours, hold it tight, let it burn in your chest. You think you need more confidence, you don't, you need more courage. Confidence comes from results, courage comes from action, so act, even if your knees are shaking, even if your voice cracks, even if you don't know if you'll make it. Go anyway, because regret weighs more than failure. Regret is the heaviest thing you'll ever carry, so take the risk, take the shot, fall down 100 times if you have to, just get up one more time than you fall. People will doubt you, good, let them, use that, let their doubt be your fuel, let their silence be your thunder. Don't explain yourself, show them with your grind, with your scars, with your story. Because stories are powerful, and the best ones, the ones that last, are never perfect. They're messy, bloody, and full of comebacks. Be the story they never saw coming. There's a point in every fight where your body's finished, and your heart starts talking. That's the moment that separates the winners from the forgotten. That's the moment when legends are born. When you ignore the pain, block out the noise, and focus only on one thing. Survive this moment. Just this moment, not tomorrow, not next week, just this battle. And when you win that one, you move to the next. Battle by battle, you build a life worth remembering, not because it was perfect, but because you never gave up. You want to grow, you want strength, you want real progress, then get ready to bleed for it, because pain is the price of progress. That's the currency life demands, not comfort, not ease, pain. You don't build muscle without tearing the old ones first. You don't sharpen a blade without grinding it hard against stone, and you don't become who you were born to be without walking through fire. Everybody wants results, but nobody wants the struggle. Everybody wants the mountain peak, but they don't want the climb. They want the crown, but not the battle. They want the trophy, but not the scars. But let me tell you something that most people never understand. You can't bypass pain. You have to go through it. You have to let it shape you. You have to bleed in silence before you earn the right to roar in public. There were days I thought I couldn't take another step. Nights I curled up on the ground with a cold wind trying to steal the breath out of my lungs. I've walked on broken bones, slept in mud, fought hunger, fought fear, fought myself. But every ounce of pain taught me something. It taught me that growth doesn't come from staying safe. It comes from risking something. It comes from discomfort, from challenge, from the edge. And if you're in pain right now, if life is hitting you harder than ever, don't ask why me, ask what is this teaching me, because pain is a teacher that never lies. Pain strips away the nonsense. It reveals what's real. It brings you face to face with your limits, and then dares you to break them. And when you do, that's when you grow. That's when you level up. That's when you earn your next chapter. There's no shortcut, no cheat code. You've got to hurt, you've got to sweat. You've got to scream into the void and keep moving anyway. Progress is bought with pain, but here's the good news: pain is temporary, but growth is forever. The discomfort fades, but the lessons stay. The soreness disappears, but the strength remains. And when you look back, you won't remember the pain. You'll remember what it made you. So the next time you're hurting, smile. That's your body, your soul, your mind under construction. That pain, that's your proof that you're doing something most people are too afraid to even attempt. And when it gets worse, when it feels like it's too much, double down. Dig in, lean forward, because that's when the breakthrough is closest. That's when most people quit, and that's exactly when you rise. And now, let's talk about the dark part, the rock bottom, the collapse. The place everyone avoids, but where the strongest are born. Rock bottom. It's ugly, it's cold, it's lonely, but it is honest. It shows you the truth. And sometimes you have to lose everything to see what actually matters. Because at rock bottom, there are no distractions. There's no noise, no pretending, no ego. Just you and the wreckage and the question, what now? I've hit it. I've been face down in the dirt, nothing left to give, no backup plan, no cheering crowd. Just pain, just silence. And you know what I found there? Clarity, hunger, fire. The kind of fire you don't get from winning. The kind of fire that only comes from losing everything and deciding you're not staying down. That's the thing about rock bottom. It can destroy you or it can rebuild you, but you have to choose. The top of the mountain teaches you how to smile, but the bottom, that's where you learn to survive. That's where you discover who your real friends are. That's where you learn the power of your own will. People think hitting bottom is the end, but I'll tell you this: rock bottom is not the end, it's the foundation. It's where you stop faking. It's where you finally stop caring what others think and start fighting for what actually matters. You've got two choices when you're down there: stay broken or start building. And you don't need tools, you don't need money, you don't need motivation. You just need to decide that you're not finished. Decide that your story doesn't end here. Decide that one day you're going to look back on this pain and thank it for making you unbreakable. Because the truth is, most people never get tested. They float, they coast, they never dig deep enough to find the steel inside. But you, if you've been broken, if you've lost, if you've hit the floor so hard you left a crater, then congratulations. You're in rare company. You've been invited to the fight. And the question now is, what will you do with that pain? Will you let it crush you, or will you let it carve you into something new? Because pain isn't the enemy. Rock bottom isn't the enemy, quitting is. Letting it all go to waste is. Walking away before the miracle happens. That's the real tragedy. The greatest people you admire, the legends, the warriors, the survivors, they all have one thing in common. They've suffered, they've been beaten, and they kept going. They found something down there in the dirt, in the darkness, something the easy road never gave them. They found fight, and when they came back, when they rose, they weren't just stronger. They were unstoppable. So if you're hurting, if you're lost, if you're staring at the ceiling wondering how the hell you got here, good. This is where it starts. This is where you find the edge, and from the edge you jump. And from the jump you fly. Just promise me one thing. When it gets worse, when the storm gets louder, when everything in you says quit, remember who you are. Remember what you've already survived. Remember that pain is part of the price. And remember, rock bottom isn't your grave, it's your launch pad. People don't fail because they're weak. They fail because they keep giving their excuses more power than their potential. And that's the truth nobody wants to hear. Excuses are comfortable, they're warm, they wrap you up and tell you it's okay, you tried. Even when you didn't, they whisper you're too tired, or it's not the right time, or you're not good enough yet. And before you know it, you've wasted months, years, waiting for the perfect moment that never comes. But here's the thing, you are not your excuses, you are tougher than them, you are built for more than comfort. You are built for war. Every excuse is a door locked from the inside. You have the key, but most people don't want to turn it. They'd rather blame something, timing, money, weather, people, fate. But warriors, survivors, they own everything, every weakness, every delay, every failure. They say, this is on me. And then they fix it, they move, they grind, they bleed, because the goal is worth more than the excuse. And I'm not saying the excuses aren't real. Sometimes you are tired, sometimes you are broke, sometimes the world really is unfair, but so what? So what if it's hard? Who told you life was supposed to be easy? You think lions cry because the hunt is exhausting. You think fire complains because it burns everything in its way. No, that's the nature of survival. You either face the struggle or you become its victim. There was a man I met once who had every reason to quit. He had no legs, lost them in a war, came home broken, angry, hopeless. He could have lived in that. He could have justified every bad day, every mood, every failure. But one day he looked in the mirror and said, "This isn't who I am." And he started training, crawling, pulling his body across the gym floor until he had strength again. Today, he runs races on blades. He lifts, he competes, he mentors, and not once have I heard him make an excuse. That man didn't have some superpower. What he had was refusal. He refused to be the victim, and you can do the same. You don't need better conditions. You need a better decision. You need to kill the comfort. Excuses are just lies your fear tells you to keep you small. Starve them. Every time you want to skip the hard thing, do it anyway. That's how you grow. That's how you become undeniable. Your brain will say, let's do it later. Don't listen. Your body will say, we're too tired. Don't listen. Your friends might say, take it easy. Don't listen. Because easy won't save you. Easy won't build you. Easy won't get you anywhere you actually want to go. Toughness is doing the hard thing when every fiber in you is begging to stop. And this brings us to the next truth. One that separates the legends from the talented. The adaptable survive longer than the gifted. Always have, always will. Talent is nice. It gives you a head start. But life doesn't care about your head start. It cares about your next step, and if you can't adapt, if you can't pivot when everything changes, then your talent becomes useless. The wild doesn't reward the strongest, it rewards the most flexible. I've seen the strongest men break in unfamiliar terrain. I've seen champions lose everything because they couldn't shift gears when the plan failed. And I've seen the quiet ones, ordinary people, survive and thrive because they refused to be stuck. They stayed open, they kept moving, they stayed alert. That's adaptability, that's survival intelligence. You train for one thing, life throws you another. You expect sun, you get a storm. You expect support, you get silence. Now what? You fold, or do you find a new way? That's the test. Can you think on your feet? Can you change your approach when the old one stops working? Can you keep your purpose while changing your tactics? If you can do that, you become unstoppable, because then nothing can trap you. Nothing can pin you down. You become water. You find cracks. You find a way through. Adaptability is more than a mindset. It's a weapon. It means you never rely on one plan, one outcome, one path. It means you see opportunity in chaos. You're not the person who says, that's not how I planned it. You're the one who says, good, let's find another way. You don't cry when the door shuts. You build a new door. I remember once being dropped into a jungle with the wrong gear. Map was gone, radio dead, no backup. Conditions had changed, it wasn't what I prepared for. But that didn't matter. I had to move, had to adapt, had to think fast. That moment taught me more than any textbook or lecture ever could. It taught me that survival isn't about having everything you need. It's about using everything you've got. And that's true in life too. Things won't go to plan. People will let you down. The market will shift. The game will change. And when it does, will you change with it? Will you evolve? or will you cling to the way things should be while everything passes you by? Flexibility is not weakness, it's strategy, it's strength. It's how the toughest stay in the fight longer than anyone else. Talent can win you the first round, but adaptability will win you the last one. Talent can build a reputation, but adaptability builds resilience. When life rewrites the rules, adaptable people smile and say, "Let's play." They don't get angry, they get creative, they don't panic. They pivot, and the good news, you don't need to be born with it. You build it, you train for it, you make it a habit, try new things, get uncomfortable, fail often, learn fast, stop saying "that's not me," and start saying "let me figure this out." That's how you become bulletproof. That's how you become the kind of person who doesn't just survive, but dominates, no matter what the world throws at you. So if you've been hiding behind excuses, if you've been relying on talent alone, wake up. You're tougher than that, you're more capable than you know, and you don't need everything to go right. You just need to stop quitting when it goes wrong, stay in the fight, keep adapting, because that's how warriors are made. Motivation is a liar. It shows up when it feels like it, when the sky is clear, when the music is loud, when the path looks short. It gets you hyped, gets you moving, but the moment things get ugly, when the road gets long, when the pain kicks in, when the silence gets loud, motivation disappears. And if that's all you're counting on, you'll break. That's why discipline is king. Discipline is the beast that doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't care if you're tired, scared, unmotivated, or broken. It shows up anyway, every single time. You don't brush your teeth because you feel motivated. You do it because it's non-negotiable. You train your body, your mind, your habits the same way, non-negotiable. You think champions wake up every day inspired? No, most days they don't want to do it either, but they do it, not because they feel like it, but because they made a promise. Discipline is the promise. Motivation is just the mood. Moods change, promises hold. There were days I trained soaked to the bone, frozen to the fingertips, empty in the stomach, and alone in the middle of nowhere. No camera, no claps, no audience, just grit, just discipline. And that's what most people never understand. It's not the big, dramatic moments that make you. It's the boring ones, the early mornings, the quiet repetitions, the lonely decisions, over and over and over again. That's where legends are built, in the dark, when no one's clapping. Discipline means doing the hard thing even when there's no fire left in your chest. It means saying no to comfort, no to distractions, no to the easy way. It means waking up and choosing the grind, not because it's fun, but because it's necessary. You want freedom, earn it through discipline. You want results, build them brick by brick on the back of discipline. Motivation might get you started, but only discipline gets you to the finish line. It's like sharpening a knife. One grind won't do it. One spark won't light a fire forever. You've got to keep striking, keep working, keep pushing. Even when your mind says stop, your body says quit, and your heart says what's the point? That's the exact moment discipline steps in and says get up, do it anyway, and that moment. That's the difference between average and elite, between forgotten and unforgettable. You see, the discipline don't need perfect timing. They create it. They don't wait for conditions. They adapt to them. They don't wait to feel ready. They move ready or not, and that's why they win. Because while the motivated wait for the right feeling, the disciplined are already halfway up the mountain. And if you're struggling right now, if you're tired of fighting, remember this. It's not about being the best. It's about being consistent. Show up broken, show up afraid, show up messy, but show up, because the days you want to quit are the days that count the most. The days you push through are the ones that build something inside you no shortcut ever will. That's the reward of discipline, and no one can take that from you. But let's talk about something deeper. Let's talk about why this all matters beyond just you. Because what you're going through, your pain, your struggle, your comeback, is not just about you. Your struggle is someone else's survival guide. There is someone out there right now going through hell, looking for proof that it's possible to make it out. And your fight, your refusal to quit, your scars, that might be their light. You have no idea how powerful your story could be to someone else. We live in a world full of filtered lies. Everyone's showing their wins, their smiles, their perfect moments. But it's the truth that saves people. It's the raw, messy, ugly truth that says, yeah, I was there too. I was broken, I was down, but I didn't stay there. That's what people need, not another highlight reel. They need real. You might think your pain doesn't matter, that no one's watching, but someone is. Someone in the shadows, someone sitting in silence, hoping for a reason to believe again. And when you rise, when you dig deep and push through, you become that reason. You become proof, and that is more valuable than you will ever know. There are people I've never met who changed my life, just because they chose not to quit, just because they got up one more time, just because they spoke the truth, even when their voice shook. And I've always told myself, if they could, then so can I. And now I tell you the same thing. If you fight through this, whatever this is for you, you will become that light for someone else. You will become the voice they remember when they're ready to give up. So never think your battle is wasted. Every drop of sweat, every breakdown, every lonely night, it all builds something bigger than you. You're building strength not just for yourself, but for others. You're becoming a guide, a map, a warning, a beacon. You're becoming the kind of story that pulls others out of the dark, and there is no greater purpose than that. It's not about being perfect. It's not about having all the answers. It's about showing what it looks like to keep going, to get knocked down and stand again, to cry, then fight, to lose, then try again. That is power, that is purpose, that is legacy. So if you're sitting in your pain thinking it's useless, think again. Someone is going to read your words, hear your story, watch your actions, and they'll whisper, if they did it, maybe I can too. And that single whisper, that spark of hope, that's how new fires start. So fight like someone's life depends on it, because one day it just might. Let me tell you this, you will fall, you will bleed, you will want to quit. But if you dig deep, if you push harder, if you rise again, even when everything screams stay down, you will win. Scars tell stories, wear them with pride, because the strongest people are not the ones who never failed, but the ones who never gave up. So wherever you are, lost in the wild, drowning in debt, broken-hearted out of time, you are not done. This is not your end. This is your moment to rise. So take a breath, clench your fists, and move forward. Never give up.